This is the Journey podcast. We highlight the journeys of our guests, where they've been, where they are now, and where they are going. Let's join them on their journey. Well, welcome to the Journey podcast. Thank you for joining us once again today. We are joined by Mitch Kranitz, and he is with Print Partners. And I met Mitch because he is specifically aligned to help companies like myself have managed print without actually having to manage the print, which is fantastic for a business like us who doesn't specialize in these beasts of copier machines. And so it's become a good partnership that they've created at Print Partners, not only for Astoria, but for multiple managed service providers all over the country. So how you doing today, Mitch? Tell us a little bit about your business.
Hey, Nate. Thanks, man. Thanks for having me on. I've enjoyed our conversations up to this point, and I'm looking forward to our conversation today. Thanks, man. Well, Print Partner in a nutshell, we do three things. We provide a revenue source in a place that's not typical in the MSP community. We pay MSPs for introductions to their customers for us to try and sell copy and print products. We also, we pay $250 for an introduction, $1,000 for every copier that we sell. We also kind of protect the MSP community when they put us in as when we strike a deal with one of their customers. We are not an MSP, so we will basically protect the MSP because other print vendors, most of the rest of the print industry is becoming MSP. There's a big rallying cry for print vendors to learn how to run MSP, and we know how well that turns out. So we protect our referral partners, and then we also collaborate with them on print-related items instead of the MSP having to burn hours of time working on print-related issues. It goes to us, who it should go to knock it out. So in a nutshell, that's what we do.
And you personally have a really neat background because you come from the MSP world, close to about 20 years in the MSP world. So you, as far the MSP world is not a century-old business. It's a little bit younger as far as businesses go. So you've really seen the industry grow up. Tell us a little bit about your journey in the MSP world.
Oh, man. Well, that's an exciting topic. I mean, it started when, as a kid. And I think there's one of the things that I've found over the, past, 2-3 decades of goofing around in IT, or 4 decades of goofing around in IT. Because I started with computers when I was 7. And I've talked to a lot of other folks that are my age, and there's a lot of similar stories, and it's really fun to hear other people's stories. But, my experience was I was a hyperactive kid. My parents didn't know what the hell to do with me. My dad was an consumer electronics rep. So back before you were buying through Amazon and all this stuff, you used to go to the big box stores.
Right.
His company would be the middle person between, say, Compaq or Atari or, Commodore or whoever, and the big box stores where all these products were being sold. And it was like around, I always wanted video games, and they were always hesitant to let me rot my brain on an Atari, whatnot. If I wanted the Atari, I got the ColecoVision, or I got the Intellisys, or I got like something that was not the cool product, because he was always dealing with, secondary or tertiary products. But then when he started repping computers, all of a sudden I got a VIC-20 at home. And that was like, that was something that they were just like, hey, we feel good about this. He's coding. He's learning to do stuff. We have no clue what the hell he's doing, but he's calm. He's not dismantling appliances in our house to figure out how they work. And this works for us, right? We can get a moment's respite. So, and that's not too much of an exaggeration. So starting around, 7, I'm coding, or I'm learning how to break software, because you had to run the stuff back then. You had to learn how to launch it. So you couldn't just like turn on the thing and play the game. You had to turn on the thing, and then you're just sitting at a command line, and then you put the tape in. You had to And then you had to launch it, load it, but then you could look at all the code. And then I learned how to break the code and how to change my stats and modify my strength or my dexterity or, increase my gold, all that stuff.
All those things are very important to become an MSP because you have to be not afraid to try something.
Yeah. And then, so it evolved. I was going to computer club. So with my dad's business, he had access to tons of software. So I would go to his warehouse as a kid and I would be able to browse, and I say kid now, 10, 11, I'd browse the aisles and I'd be able to bring home software that was like brand new in a market when, it wasn't so common to find a place where you'd find so much software. But I'd show up at these computer swap meets, like an 11-year-old kid bringing his TV and his, Commodore 64 or whatever he's, carrying at the time. And all these older fellas that are in their, late teens to 30s would see me walk in with my box of shiny new discs. And they were like, "Ooh, here's that guy." And they'd line up, they'd, start trading me software and all kinds of stuff. It was really fun. But I got my first consulting gig when I was about 13 or 14. My pops took me to one of his business colleagues' offices and just had him explain to me, a pain point. And I said, well, and his secretary is like sitting there in the background, kind of like twitching as she's listening to the business owner talk about it. And I'm catching her cues, even though I guess, I don't know. I guess I was a natural consultant because I was like, what do you think about it? And she gave me the real info because she was the one that does all the work.
Yeah.
She had to use 16 floppy disks every day to back up a database of contacts and stuff for his firm. And she would do all the work on it, back it up onto these 16 floppies, then walk over to his computer and unload all these things from the 16 floppies onto his so that he could then work on it the next day. And
I don't miss those days.
Yeah. So it took her I don't know, an hour plus every day to do that, maybe more. I don't know. So I sat down on the spot. I wrote a little program using, zip in DOS or gzip. I don't remember what it was. Had it spanning, it went down to 2 or 3 floppies. I just wrote a little batch file. It did the whole thing. And I told her how to do it. And she was just like, "Oh my God." And, gave my dad a lot of pride. I don't know what I thought about it at the time, other than I just like puzzles. So, that's kind of how things went at the beginning. But then I just kind of got lost. I was a nerd and I wasn't that great at college. I got kicked out of college twice for bad grades. I could apply myself. Like if my sister called up and crying saying, "I heard you got a test this week, please study and get a good grade," I'd get an A on the test. And then I'd call her up. I'd say, "I got an A. I don't want to do that again." And I would shoot billiards. I would go out to the pool hall and I'd stay up until, 3 a.m. I didn't even drink. I was just interested in anything but school. And then I just started working regular jobs. I didn't have, I was working at a restaurant. I worked at an electronics store. Even though I was deep into computers, I didn't know I could make money doing it. And then one of my roommates, when I was 21, he was about as dumb as a box of rocks. And he said that he got a job interview for programming. And could I help him learn how to talk the language so he didn't sound like a total idiot during the interview? And I said, sure. So I showed him some stuff and I showed him how to code a little bit and talk to him so he could sound intelligent. He got a job making $32,000 a year. And I was like, whoa. I'm making, $20,000 a year at the most, barely scraping by. And that was it. The light went off. I got a job as a Unix administrator for a company. Wow. Working, 4 nights on, 5 nights off, 4 nights on. And then it was 5 nights on, 4 nights off, 5 nights on. And I was just basically, it was 12-hour shifts. It was a rad job. I had access to tons of systems. It was a Novell network. And I realized they hired me to do documentation. But it became clear that I was better suited to do the net admin stuff. So I don't know if you want to break on that or have any questions about anything.
Well, what year are we talking about with Unix administration there?
So So I was born in 71. This was in 92.
All right. That's awesome. So,
And I didn't even know a lick of Unix. I learned all my Unix on the fly.
which is kind of how the world was then. You didn't need some special certification or something else to get into it. That was kind of the Wild West. It's not so much that anymore, but that was kind of the Wild West. Anybody could do this if they said, "Yeah, sure, I'll try," because nobody knew anything about it.
Yeah.
So it made it really an easy entry point for you, and kind of maybe tell us a little bit more about how you got into the MSP. It wasn't even MSP then. I don't know what it was called back then.
Well, it was called break fix, but I want to actually on that, what you were just saying, nobody knew what it was. I think in all IT, there's a lot of magician stuff going on. Nobody still knows what the hell we do. Right. If I had enough confidence, I could walk into, or anybody could walk into a company and pretend to be an MSP. You see other managed print services company pretending to be MSP all the time. Oh yeah,
absolutely.
And they'll walk into, your customers and be like, oh, and they'll see that the network room is messy or the server room's messy. And then that's their cue to be like, oh man, well, so your copiers are good, but like your server room's a mess. Do you want to talk to us about and they don't and the owner's just like, I don't know what they do.
Right. They're just there. I paid a lot of money for them.
They do stuff. But so it's very, it's esoteric and not a lot of people get it. Even today, I still think, people understand it's common. Everybody just agrees it's the Leviathan, the necessary evil. But I think, it's way more appreciated now than maybe it was back in the day.
There requires a lot of integrity in this line of work to be able to come in and actually be able to, say that we do what we do, and we have to show that we can be trusted. Yeah. You can fake it for a while, but the client's going to get it after a while. Like, they're not really doing what they say they're doing, And so you can't fake that. And I would say the same things even in the managed print world, that's faked a lot too. Yeah.
I would agree with that. I think, anybody who's listening to this, that's part of the MSP space. And we all hate the print world. We hate the print space. I still hate the print space. I work for a print company, and I mean, it's one of the least desirable things for me to, like, when my own, print environment takes a dump or I have to deal with it. I'm just like, but that said, so the transition from, corporate guy, because then I went to work for Dell. So I got this job at a telecom company, and then I went to work for Dell for like 3 years in their major account support division. So I was supporting desktop, Optiplex, Dimension computers. I betaed their work from home program, which was pretty cool. They gave us all an ISDN line, and we were able to support customers from home. And then I got a job working with EDS, supporting, strangely enough, a Xerox location in Austin, Texas. And it's like 100 and some user location. I was the only on-site resource. And it was great, man. It's just like, in IT, it's always the thing is the job is to work more efficiently, work less, get paid more is right. what I always was my value is like, instead of like, if I'm getting paid a specific amount of loot to do a job, and it doesn't matter how much time I take to do it, I'm going to take as little amount of time as possible. So that's what I learned to do over and over. It's just refine my work, refine the approach, make it happen faster, batch stuff, and document repeatable activities. And eventually, while I was in Ohio, no, that's not true. While I was in Austin, I developed a few break fix customers, people who just like, you know how it goes.
Right.
People know that you're capable. And then they're like, hey, can you help me with this? And then sure. And then you got a little night gig going, a little side thing. And then I moved from Austin and ended up in Chicago. And this is where it happened. It's like I got a job as an admin somewhere. And I had a wonderful introduction to Chicago from a mentor of mine and connected me with a lot of people, and word spread really fast that I was good at what I did. I started with residential customers. Then all of a sudden business customers started asking me if I could help them with that. Sure. And then, before you know it, I've got like a list of 120 customers. By 2005, I've got a list of 100 customers that, I'm helping, whether it's, once a month or every week. Or it could be, twice a year, but whatever the case is, anybody who's done break fix knows that list of customers.
So you built this list of 130 or so customers. Did you transition and I got to systematize this at some point? I got to make this a little bit. No. Or were you really interested in staying in that break fix space at the point?
At the time, like back in the day, so it was a fire station. It was a little bit of a train wreck. Like just you're waiting for the fire bell to ring and you run out and you fix it and you do it. And I'd always do a great job. And so people would keep calling me back. It wasn't until I read Carl Palchuk's Managed Services in a Month that I was like, oh, wait, there's a better way to do it. And I read that in the E-Myth, book as well at the same time. And I was like, oh, there's a smarter way to do this. So this is like this, you've heard this before, I'm sure, but it's like, half of the MSP industry or more are engineers turned business owners.
Right.
We are not trained business owners.
Right.
So that half of the business was lacking sorely. So when I got hold of Carl Palchuk and he gave me all that fantastic content and rules and made it all easy, that had a lot of impact. So I did actually follow his program and I wrote the letter and told all my clients, I came up with my strategy, my pricing and this and that. And I wrote a letter to all my clients and I said, this is what's happening. By 3 months from today, I'm transitioning all my services to managed services. And if you want to stay on board, then let's do it. And it worked. I got rid of a bunch of noise and I added on a lot of recurring revenue, which was fantastic. And that positioned me to be able to sell my first MSP in 2020. It was 2010 that I sold my first MSP.
Okay. And so what drove you to sell it? You have the successful thing going on. Why be done? Why not just, you've got the Chicago market. Let's go to St. Louis. Let's go to St. Paul. Why not move on?
Yeah. I think the best answer is because I was not skilled at business. I'm a fantastic engineer. Still to this day, I can engineer the hell out of anything. But, as far as a business person is concerned, back then, I had no chops. I was also interested in just, partying with my free time. I wanted to go out drinking with my friends and just shake it down and be able to wake up whenever. I was not thinking big picture back then. And the other part of it was, it was just so much work, man. And I was like, well, and I'd hired some people and dealing with employees kind of sucked. And there were some great employees, there were some not so great employees. And I got to a point where I just needed out for sanity. I was looking at rope at Home Depot and wondering how much I'd need to hang myself.
Oh,
so I think I got to a kind of a panic point with this one where I was just like, okay, like this isn't working for my emotional health. What do I do? How do I make a move? So I cooled my jets and I spent about 6 months swinging my for sale sign. And this was before everybody and their mother knew how to buy MSP. And so I got my books in order. I got all my contracts in order and I tried to make myself look as profitable as I could. I made myself look as healthy of a position as I could.
Right.
And so I consulted with an accounting firm and I talked to a couple mentors on how to position it. And I interviewed, a handful of MSPs, and struck a really good deal with a fantastic MSP.
And then you did it again.
And then I did it again. I worked with them for 3 years. I learned some stuff and I just realized I was in an account executive position and that just kind of sucked. That wasn't fun enough. It didn't keep my interest. I'm a builder. I love to build things. I know that now. At the time I thought it'd be great. I can shake hands, kiss babies and do that stuff. But then after 3 years, I tried to start a backup and disaster recovery company. I went to Datto's boot camp in 2013 to learn how to work with their series product. And, I got deep into that. HIPAA was coming in hot with the threat of penalties and, you better get HIPAA compliant. And there was clear language in the HIPAA rules that said medical companies need to become HIPAA compliant or they're going to start getting fined. And so I was like, dude, I could sell with that all day long. So I went to Datto. I built this brand called EHR Protect. Sorry. Crash Proof was another one that I tried. And it was like a fart in the wind. I burned through a lot of my savings. Doctors don't want to spend a penny on that. They would have, they literally would rather have gotten fined than to be HIPAA compliant. So after a year of trying that, I just failed. And I needed to make money. So I started I said, I'll do something that I know how to do. And I started another MSP. And that one, I started it with all the right tools. It was a blank canvas. I mean, imagine if you could start with a blank canvas today.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be so far down the road. I already know who I like, who I don't like, and what works and what doesn't for me.
Yeah. So I had that opportunity. And immediately started with some good, cornerstone clients and just built from there. And I got really lucky. Again, I got some fantastic companies that had explosive growth. And over 3 short years, over 5 short years, I went from, just starting an MSP to having customers that had, hundreds of locations all over the country and, thousands of nodes and, employees. I had outsourced my help desk. And it was super exciting. But at the same time, I still wasn't, I was faced with a decision with one of my biggest clients who was the majority of my income. Writing was on the wall that I was going to be out because they were going to go in-house. And I either had to scale really quick to meet their need or else they'd go in-house. And I made a decision. I'm like, I don't want to lose these guys. I'm about to hang myself again because of my own, inability to run a coherent organization as a CEO, not just an engineer. And I again, interviewed like 20 some different MSPs, met with the owners, talked to them about what they would do with it, and then settled on one. And it was a fantastic decision. It was the perfect decision. It was a really mature company. They gave me, what I needed to succeed with integrating my client base into their business, and gave me a comfortable place to sit for a couple of years. And then, that's it.
So you found yourself at Print Partners following that. So if I'm correct with that, that's where you've landed at this point.
Well, then I built Print Partner.
I gotcha. Yeah, I gotcha. You wanted to build something, so you went and built that.
Yeah.
So through this, what's one thing? There's a lot of kind of unexpected things that have happened through that story. What would you say is the most unexpected thing that has happened through the story?
The most unexpected thing that's happened, literally, the most unexpected thing was Print Partner. I had I had a preferred print vendor called Green Office Partner, and they asked me to come work for them in 2020. And I was like, hell no, I'm not working with a managed print company. Like, no, this is like the last thing on my list. And they were persistent, and they said, get creative about how you might be able to work with us. And I created Print Partner, and it's actually literally turned out to be the best thing that's ever happened, because the mix of the leadership team, I have like this unbridled, ability to create and build. They're letting me do it. And I fit well with the leadership team. So that's the biggest surprise was, when I started, I was really skeptical. And now, I've been adopted into the leadership team. I'm helping with a lot of different projects, and I feel like I'm able to add a lot of value without any of the pressure of employees and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's huge, to find that team that can really support you to be able to do what you do best and really make you really shine in that. So
Yeah.
tell me what's a common myth about your job as a managed print provider?
Yeah. It's, I don't know if it's a myth that all print vendors suck.
They do. No, except for you. No.
I mean, seriously though, so it's 99% a myth. Or wait, no, it's 5% myth. The truth is it's just like, MSP print vendors are just trying to do what the best they can. And they're business owners, and I don't know, but there are some print vendors out there that actually care and operate
Yes.
ethically and can do that. But as far as any other myths, I like it's not a myth, but we talked about this earlier. Fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
I genuinely believe. I had an early manager tell me that. He's like, dude, if you don't know it and you're in there and there's no harm, and if you feel like you can, learn it pretty quickly, just nod your head and say, yeah. I know that's how vaporware is created, but in the tech industry, if you're a good engineer, you'll learn it quick.
Right.
If your reputation and your career depend on it.
So in your experience in the MSP world, and now you're in the print world, do you think that new companies take on more than they should? I see somebody, I'm going to do managed service, I'm going to do managed print, and they're trying to do everything. And instead of building a team of people around them that may not be in their company, what do you think about that?
I'm always super sensitive to that. Whether it's a company I'm involved with or if it's a company that I'm thinking about partnering with, if I feel that their message is not clear, if their focus is not clear, then it's a red flag to me. And I agree with you. I think that you see MSP, they even, I mean, like, let's say, you got infrastructure, you have network security infrastructure, you've got, project management. All of a sudden you got like a solutions team that's doing, migrations and all this stuff. And then, you name it, all the different things. Sometimes even myself as an MSP, I got to a point where I was like way overextended in my ability to deliver, but I didn't say no. And also, I guess with regards to other print vendors, my God, yeah, like there's a rallying cry at every convention now. They're just like, hey, print's dying, learn how to be an MSP. And it's like, and there's tons of people making tons of money teaching print vendors how to become MSPs.
Yeah.
So print vendors are buying up MSPs, or they're standing up a shoddy MSP in-house, and we all see the results of that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a big challenge, and see where the industry goes with that.
Yeah.
So what would you say is the biggest challenge you're facing in your business right now?
It's definitely the supply chain.
Okay.
We're just getting killed, man. We want to deploy equipment. We want to, we've got signatures, we got ink dried, and we can't get product. Sometimes it's really tough. That's one of them. And then the other thing is just, I think, finding new talent to join the organization.
Yeah, I'm hearing that a lot.
Yeah, we would love that. We've got open positions for, salespeople, for solutions engineers, for technical support. And we're having to pay top dollar to headhunting companies to get, decent resources. It's pretty tough. That's
a crazy market out there. So what do you think, in your opinion, is the most important personality trait for somebody to build from? You've built now at least three of your own things. You figured it out in the early stage, but what do you think you need? What's that thing to build something from nothing?
Well, I guess, part of it is empathy. a lot. So you have to have a killer, if you're building something from nothing, and we're not talking just about MSP, but anything, you have to be able to look at the world and understand the problem first. And you have to be able to look at things and just clearly articulate where is there a need for you to help, and really understand it and make sure that it's a place that people want help.
That's good.
And then if it just keeps resonating, and you have to have a natural you have to have curiosity, and you have to be a problem solver. If you're going to build something, you have to be able to take something, a concept, and just keep turning it and unfolding it and opening it and looking at it and unfolding it, and then repositioning everything. You have to just be willing to continually evolve whatever it is that you are creating, because they say if you're not moving, you're dead. If you stagnate, if you just get to a point where you're like, all right, this is good, we're going to let this just run, you're going to just rot.
Yeah. So what would be like one piece of advice you would give to somebody starting out? Could be managed print, could be managed service provider, but what's one piece of advice you would give to somebody trying to start out in a business like that?
Well, if the advice was with regards to getting new customers, I'd say just, be genuine, be real. Don't try to sell people stuff, try to connect with people and be empathetic. People do business with people that they like. And if you develop a connection with somebody, eventually the opportunities will come with it. If the advice is about building the business, just be sure that your concept is something that the market is interested in receiving.
Yeah. So through this, who's been a mentor to you? If you had any mentors along the way?
So many people. Yeah, you can't have enough mentors. Like, some mentors, so you always have a mentor. And the guy who introduced me to Chicago was like a surrogate dad to me. He became, he was a mentor, and he invested a lot of time in me, and it was just being friends and hanging out and doing stuff. And he'd introduce me to people. Hey, I'm going to take you to meet my friend Jimmy or whatever. And then, I have a mentor now who I've been talking to for 20 plus years, and I think he's in his late 70s, early 80s now. But man, that guy is just and he's sold he started a huge company, the dollar store. So it's like, he has a lot of business experience. And he's just been fantastic, and we're friends and we talk about stuff. He always wants to hear about my business, but it's he's good. And then every time I work with a company, I use the leadership as mentors in different roles. So even though I was a lone wolf mentality for a lot when I was in the business, I still had mentors outside that would help me just navigate the world, I guess. But as far as running my business, I was a lone wolf. Now I'm inclined to take as much help as I can from anybody in the company to help support me and get consensus on what to do next.
Yeah, it's also important to have those mentors around you.
Yeah.
And related to this, what's one lesson that you have learned through your career that you think everybody should learn at some point in their life?
That it's okay to fuck up. I mean, you're gonna blow it. Don't let it color you. Don't let it send you into a panic attack. You're gonna mess it up. You're gonna blow it. You're probably gonna blow it in a huge way that's embarrassing. And when that happens, don't let that moment define you. Instead, give yourself a break. Give yourself some space to look at it as an opportunity, and learn from it.
Yeah. So make those mistakes, learn from those mistakes, and then keep going. Don't give up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you work in the print managed print field. You come from the MSP in-house IT background, so you're working with people who have a little bit different experiences with you. So I'm sure you have some maybe nuanced opinions. Is there something that you're like, I'm the only one who agrees with me about this? Everybody else says Mitch is a little crazy. Is there anything like that you could tell us about that pretty much nobody agrees with you about this nuanced thing?
Because I play it pretty center. I always find myself pretty center, and my personality type is to be agreeable and to bring people together. And so, somebody's on an extreme and everybody thinks they're crazy, and then everybody thinks that person's crazy, and they both want something different. My role is I'm the peacemaker.
You're the peacemaker.
I'm the broker. So, no, there's really not. No, I can't think of anything.
You're not dying on any hills over here. So
sorry to disappoint. Yeah.
No, it's okay. So, but you have a lot that you have to do every single day. So what would you say is like, what is a productivity hack, for lack of a better term, that you use to make sure you get all of your work done?
Taking breaks, and literally meditating in the morning clears my mind so that I can start out with like just an easy intro, and I sit down, I'm calm. The biggest thing is I've discovered that and I'm 50 now, but a lot of what we do as humans is driven by all this chatter. We've got nonstop chatter happening all the time in our heads, and it's just a constant dialogue. And these are like a whole cast of characters in your head that are like talking about this or that, or you're so smart, or you're so handsome, or you're so stupid, or you're so ugly, and or like why did you even do that? And you just have these dialogues, whether you recognize it or not. And once you and those voices are also huge in my business, like about like how do you do this and how do you do with that client? And it's, for me anyways, it was just, I didn't realize it at the time, because you just get used to it. It's like watching yourself grow. You just, all of a sudden, you just grew up with all these. Once I learned to clear my mind and meditate and find quiet space, I can set up every morning, and I can just rock it through the day. That is a huge plus. So that's my hack.
Take some breaks.
I don't do lists. I don't, I guess I do some lists, but
we won't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody.
Good. Yeah.
So are you a print person? Do you like to write everything down? Or are you an electronic person? This is really important as being print partners.
So I actually am electronic, OneNote for most of my stuff. I take copious notes about everything. If I'm on a call, it's all happening in my CRM or it's happening in OneNote. I do like to write, but I kind of kick myself, because then I'm like, well, I'm never going to look at that again. But if it's in OneNote, I'll look at it again.
Yeah.
What about you?
Oh, I'm very much, I have notebooks. So I'm a weird MSP. I've got all these paper notebooks and stuff, but it's therapeutic to me. So it's one thing that I found that was really good for me was to write everything in a notebook. So I've got stacks of notebooks, and I use notebooks like crazy. So at the beginning of school season, they've got those, buy 20 at Walmart for $20. I'll just buy a couple packs of those, and I go through those every year. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's how I roll. So you've started a couple businesses. You're building print partners over there, doing a great job out of, got a great reputation. Is there any other occupation other than what you've already done that you'd like to try someday? Maybe when you grow up.
Yeah, there's the person who does applies the oil for the Tropicana swimsuit competitions. That's like one of the things. Other than that, if I could get into big data, that'd be pretty cool. I don't know what that means, but like if I got here's something. If I could get access to the algorithms that drive the like YouTube Music or Google, Apple Music or the Spotify. If I could, I would love to have access to all the data from usage and, consumption and just kind of trends and whatnot. That'd be a lot of fun. And I'm sure I could build a business out of that.
That would be awesome. So, couple of rapid fire questions here at the end. I appreciate you being on the Journey podcast today. What are 3 books you would recommend to the audience and why?
I love Cryptonomicon. Yeah, that's a great one. Or actually 7 Eves by Neil Stephenson. So I know I just threw 2 out there, but you'll let me have it one. 7 Eves by Neil Stephenson. He's just such a fantastic writer. He's cyberpunk, super nerdy, super technical writer. And he creates content that, could potentially manifest itself in the future because it's so aligned with our current, trajectory for tech. 2 more books. Well, I really did. It's been years, but that E-Myth Revisited.
Yeah.
Everybody's read it, but it makes so much sense. It's so easy to read, and it just had such tremendous impact on how I thought about business. And then the third book, I just go through them nonstop on Audible. I'm a fantasy. I like fantasy novels. I don't know. You're gonna have to let me sit that third one out. I could throw.
Well, you gave us 2 at the top, so that's
there.
Okay.
We go.
So there you go. All right, I'm starting the business today. What is one word of wisdom you would give me?
One word of wisdom. Is it a single word?
Well, maybe a phrase, maybe a paragraph. I'll give you up to a paragraph.
When life gives you lemons, make lemonade.
All right. Mitch, I appreciate you being on the Journey podcast. I've asked you a lot of questions. Is there one question you wish I would have asked you today?
Would you like a check for $1 million?
I absolutely would. So
no, you'll want to ask me that question.
Would you like a check for $1 million? We'll split it.
I would. Thank you, Nate. That's very kind of you to offer.
Yes, we'll work on that. So, Mitch from Print Partners, thanks for being with us today. Tell us where the listeners can find you online and start to learn more about Print Partners and how they can work with you.
Thank you, Nate. It's been my pleasure. And if you want to learn more about Print Partner, you can just go to 3 W's. Actually, we use the third W in ours. www.printpartner.biz. And you can get all the details there. It's printpartner.biz.
All right. Thanks, Mitch, for being with us from Print Partners. Excellent partner to have in the print space for us at Astoria. At Astoria, we protect networks like a hawk. We handle the cybersecurity, making sure all those assets work together. We don't want to mess with the print side, so we want to hand it off to somebody who's going to do a much better job so we can specialize in what our staff specializes in. So great partner to have there. Check out printpartners.biz for print. And if you do need help with your technology, check out trustastoria.com as well. So thanks, Mitch, for being on the Journey podcast today.
My pleasure, Nate. Be well.
Be well. Thank you.